Looking for Planet X, everyone can already see Nibiru, and the following was quoted from an archived New York Times article from July 1st, 1987. According to NASA scientist John Anderson, if a large planet is located at the edge of the solar system, it should travel in an elongated orbit almost at right angles to the orbits of other planets. According to him, such an orbit will bring the planet closer to the rest of the solar system only every 700 to 1,000 years. Dr. Anderson voiced this new hypothesis about the possible existence of Planet X at a press conference at the Ames Research Center in Mountain View, California. The center manages the flights of the Pioneer 10 and 11 spacecraft, which are now more than 4 billion miles from our sun on courses that will ultimately deliver them to the interstellar space. Astronomers have long searched for Planet X, of course, Nibiru, to explain amazing observations showing disturbances in the orbits of Uranus and Neptune. These vibrations indicate that at some large distance, it's an object that has a gravitational effect on known outer planets. The search led in 1930 to the discovery of Pluto, but it turned out that it was too small to disrupt the orbits of Uranus and Neptune. After two Pioneer spacecraft flew over Jupiter in the 1970s, they were sent along a trajectory beyond the boundaries of known planets and monitored to see if they were exposed to an invisible gravitational force. Small space stations almost do not produce their own gravitational forces, so they are sensitive indications of any distant gravitational perturbations. Dr. Anderson said that for 5 years of accurate measurements and analysis, he did not find anything in the Pioneer data that could reveal gravitational effects that cannot be explained by forces of the famous 9 planets. In fact, according to Anderson, a review of astronomical data over the past 75 years has failed to provide clear evidence of such disturbances, but the observations of the 19th century, which caused subsequent speculation after careful study by astronomers at the U.S. Naval Observatory, were confirmed, that is, something affects the orbits. Anderson concluded that the apparent presence of some power in the 19th century and its absence can now be explained by the existence of a large object, which is now at a great distance from the Sun, approximately opposite Uranus and Neptune. The best explanation, Dr. Anderson said, is that the object is in orbit tilted at right angles to the orbits of the other planes. Thus, in the last century, it crossed the plane of other planets that is now located far from the plane in its elongated orbit. And according to the hypothesis, the object should be 5 times more massive than our Earth. If it were not more massive, its presence would be detected. And if it were less massive, its strength would probably not be large enough to push Neptune out of orbit. The hypothetical Planet X Nibiru also figured in the assumptions about the cause of mass extinctions on Earth, which apparently occur regularly every 26 million years. Daniel P. Whitmire, astronomer, University of Southwest Louisiana, suggested that Planet X Nibiru could follow a course in which every 26 million years it perturbs a cloud of comets in the outer solar system and thus sends destructive meteors towards the Earth. We do not support this theory as a working hypothesis, Anderson said in a telephone interview, but we do not refute this. In 1987, Anderson, speaking at a press conference at the Ames Research Center, thwarted a round of applause, but after 30 years, such statements are not perceived in the same way. Meanwhile, everything is easily explainable and falls well into place. The fact that something else was detected at the edge of the solar system by astronomers back in the 19th century, and the observations of these people were confirmed not by a YouTuber but by astronomers at the U.S. Naval Observatory. And what do the supporters of new chronology say about the 19th century? They say that all the historical events until the 19th century were sucked out, and that in fact, several centuries ago, there was some kind of a disaster after which people began to dig out the silt of the city and build a civilization from scratch. But after causing this catastrophe, Nibiru did not evaporate. It moved on the same course where Uranus and Neptune moved slightly, which was noticed by astronomers of the 19th century. Then Nibiru moved further, and the effect of influence on the planets disappeared. There were only asteroids that were turned upside down, which revolve around the sun, not like everything else, but in perpendicular orbits. And now Nibiru is approaching again. The direct descendants of those who survived the past cataclysm and retain technology now obviously just rule the world, and they know exactly the date of the next pass of Nibiru. Therefore, on the eve of this date, a command would be given to not talk about the topic. And if the middle of the last century astronomers wrote, say, scientific articles about Nibiru, no one will pick up on it, so they don't consider him a fool. Nevertheless, although the apocalypse has almost come, Nibiru is not very visible. Why not? It's not visible because some kind of people spray chemicals. Perhaps we don't see it. This is, besides these titanic efforts, Nibiru can still be noticed just by a welder's mask and look at the sun through special glasses. This is one way to see it. This is on Solask. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.